In few weeks from now, lakhs of students across India will be entering a new chapter in their life, the college life. And this is where a major chunk of these young students will be looking at investing into a stylish set of two wheels. And by stylish, I mean a bike with a full fairing. Now this is where the trouble starts. The cheapest full-faired motorcycle in India will cost you 1.1 lakh rupees in the form of the Hero ZMR. A lot of money for young buyers and of course their parents. And this is where I think Suzuki has a right option at the right time. Say hello to the Gixxer SF. It's under a lakh on road and of course is now India's new most affordable full-size and full-faired motorcycle. It looks simply stunning given the price segment, of course has the same potent engine from the naked Gixxer. So is the SF all show and no go? Let's find out.
What you see here is the MotoGP Special Edition that will set you back by an additional 2000 rupees, but is completely worth every single penny. This edition further makes the already good-looking bike even better. Running bold graphics and that circular strip along the alloys is something that is usually seen on far more expensive bikes. The SF is essentially the naked Gixxer with an added fairing. Simple to say in words, but the combination ends up making the bike look like a different thing altogether. The fairing also gives it a big bike look, and the mounted side view mirrors add to the aesthetics and work well too. Side profile of the bike continues to be sporty too, with cleverly matched colors. The front forks, certain side panels, brake and tail assembly are finished in black, which goes well with the overall look. At the rear, what steals your attention is the exhaust. Certainly the best looking one in the segment. The SF also gets a full-sized rear mudguard and LED tail lights, and we don't think they look out of place or sober as conveyed through some expert reviews. Attention to detail is superb, and other highlights include the modern speedometer, which also has a gear indicator. You can also set your own RPM for upshifts, and once you hit the set limit, the shift light starts blinking. Now this is something enthusiasts will simply love. The tank is well sculpted and the knees fit around it pretty well during cornering stints. Likewise, the seat is well padded, and even a person of Bunny's height and build feels comfortable during long journeys. Again, mirrors are very usable and overall quality is top-notch.
Now as I said, attention to detail is very much visible in the SF, and a perfect example is the key. It's a replica of the one seen in the Hayabusa and other Suzuki models around the world. Definitely a feel-good factor for the owner.
So the SF does win hearts when it comes to aesthetics. The question, does it do the same on the move?
Now powering the SF is the same 154.9cc single-cylinder 4-stroke engine that also powers its naked cousin, the normal Gixxer. The only difference is the added fairing that gives the bike 4 kilos of additional weight. However, trust me, that has not hampered the overall performance. In fact, the fairing is a big boon for highway usage, but more on that at a later stage. Now at 14.8 PS of power, the SF is approximately 13% more powerful than the Yamaha Phaser. Of course, torque is also slightly on the higher side. Now the 5-speed gearbox is slightly on the naughtier side, not very smooth, but nevertheless has not been giving us any false neutrals for the last couple of days. Now overall, this engine is very good to be used across usages. For city usage, it's very punchy, and on the highways, this little bike can hold 95 to 100 kmph all day long. Now the icing on the cake comes in the form of the certified economy of over 60 kmpl.
The engine remains unchanged and puts out the same power and torque as the normal Gixxer. What helps at higher speeds is the aerodynamic fairing, which has been developed in the same wind tunnel as the Hayabusas and other legendary Suzuki bikes. This in turn helps the bike to cut through air in a better way, which also results in a higher top speed. Don't be surprised to see as much as 130 on the speedometer on a good day. That said, after we pushed the bike hard for a few kilometers on the review, the engine had a tendency to almost die down when the throttle was opened at lower RPMs.
Now the suspension setup on the SF is a pretty conventional one. You get telescopic forks up front and of course a monoshock at the back. Now on normal tarmac roads, the suspension is almost perfect. It's not very on the plus side, but of course will absorb undulations very easily. However, if you're into adventure touring, this is something the SF can do. Simply stand on the foot pegs and this bike can go places.
The SF is a pretty flickable bike and you can take bumpy corners at good speeds as well. It loves changing directions and there is so much confidence and feedback from the chassis, something that is very essential for a bike that can do 130 on the speedometer. Braking is also good and it's easy to lift the rear wheel without any drama. Further, the suspension also allows you to turn the SF into a semi-adventure bike.
At just over Rs 90,000 on road in Delhi, there is more to this bike than what I said in the introduction. Yes, the SF is India's cheapest full-sized, fully fed motorcycle, but then again, there is more to this bike. It looks absolutely stunning, it's pretty comfortable, it can do the role of a long-distance commuter as well. But most importantly, the engine has enough punch to give the rider enough turning movements inside the helmet. And I think that makes this bike a complete 150cc package under the Rs 1 lakh mark. Good show, Suzuki.